Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back again to the TI6 Chinese qualifiers. We're going to be hopping now into our fourth game of the evening. Invictus Gaming facing off against TongFu, Lyrical Dota as well. Lumi, sir, how you doing? You excited about this game right now? Let's hop right into the draft because we do have it. Both of these teams, Invictus Gaming top of the group, TongFu looking for their spot into it, and there's a chance that they can make it.
Yeah, well, IG might not be the top of the group anymore, considering that they just lost to what I believe to be a very well executed cheese strat to the level 1 Roche. I hope they are not rattled. I mean, they have 430 in for that experience, so he should be able to shake that off, and hopefully his teammates could do so as well. Whereas for TongFu, you know, you said they were outside looking in. I think they could still make a deep run here, so we can't take anything away from TongFu.
They're one of the teams that probably is closest to being able to make it through. If you take a look at the teams that they've lost to so far, it's been the vg.reborn, it's been the Wings Gaming, it's been, they did lose to cdec.youth and cdec, which is a bit of a problem, but they have a lot of these other games that they're going to be playing, and if they're going to win, they need to make it happen pretty shortly. So I still think that probably it's going to be, if anybody, ig.vitality that moves up and makes it into that 5th spot, but certainly it is up for grabs a little bit from TongFu here.
I feel the problem for TongFu is, to me, they don't really have a clear defined playstyle or strategy they like to run over and over again, which, you know, on one side you could say, oh look, they're not really predictable, but on the flip side, they're also not, you're not afraid of them in a single strategy. If you play straight up standard Dota versus them, and you're the better team, you're going to come out ahead. And I think IG is just the better team.
Well, one of the things that we did see them run prior to this, leading up to it, was actually a clockwork. They ran it 7 times within the past month, and
clockwork,
and a 100% win rate over 7 games. So seeing the Faceless Void, it makes me a little bit wary than thinking that that's not indeed what they're going to go for, but they could go back for like the Void in the safe lane. I don't really expect that. It feels like instead with the Vengeful Spirit Faceless Void draft that they were looking at least to pressure and have Invictus Gaming thinking about that draw strat.
I mean, if you look at the 5 most common offlaner in this patch, it's Faceless Void, Slardar, Beastmaster, Darkseer, and Tidehunter. And I think a common theme with all of them is you get some sort of kind of guarantee initiation one way or another. And Clockwork kind of fits the same build, right? You hook in and you initiate, and the nice part about Clockwork is that it has build-on damage on top of that too. Teams are just not picking the hero up. And, you know, like you mentioned, it's been a pocket pick for TongFu, but I guess they're not feeling confident to bring it out here.
I do like the Weaver pickup. They've ran this hero fairly consistently as well, and it fits within the context of this draft. You've got a Vengeful Spirit there for the minus armor. It's going to be pretty strong, and actually, I feel like this might be incorrect, but I feel like Weaver's a pretty good answer to a Jug, so I'm a little surprised to see Invictus Gaming go for that. But QD is really pronounced with this hero as well. I guess that's actually one thing that I was looking at earlier. I believe that he's one of the most picked Juggernauts. 5 matches he picked it in the last month, 100% win rate, and a 22 KDA.
Okay.
He's like absurd on this hero, and it's his most played hero across his entire history of a Dota 2 player as well.
I do want to get your opinion on why you think Weaver's good versus the Juggernaut, though.
Well, the reason that I was thinking it, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, is that Juggernaut suffers from physical damage. Weaver, once he gets his Deso up and online, tends to be able to deal out a lot of it. And also, one of the main ways that with Juggernaut you end up being able to find a kill is with that Omni Slash. And Sakuchi, as well as Time-Lapse, it feels like it counters that out very effectively. The Disruptor, maybe it changes the dynamic, but I feel like Slardar is a much better answer overall to the Weaver. I guess Juggernaut, maybe it's just the damage there, but straight up one-on-one, I feel like Weaver's going to be able to kite him.
Yeah, I think the other added benefit of having Weaver versus Jug is the fact that you have a very reliable way to deal with the healing ward. I've seen in games the healing ward just runs rampant, right? Literally is unkilled throughout the team fight, and you're just not winning that team fight. So Weaver gives you I don't want to say a safe way to snipe that ward, but an alternate method to actually take down the ward if you want to commit for that. But yeah, I think picking Weaver into Disruptor and Slaughter is actually quite questionable, because I think these are probably the 2 best counters in the current metagame of heroes. So I am somewhat befuzzled, baffled confused about this Weaver pick. All right, Invictus Gaming.
Okay.
They said that we kind of got cheese and we were going to cheese them out. Here's the problem with the Undying pick. It's not too good against Weaver. Generally, with Undying, you put him in the off lane. He's there to pressure the safe lane carry. I just don't see him pressuring the Weaver all too well.
Yeah, this is a little bit of an odd decision indeed, and I guess we've seen actually, oddly enough, a lot of teams aggro dual lane TongFu, and with the Slardar Undying, if I remember correctly, I think that it was in the game. Actually, you know what it was? It was TongFu doing it to newbee.young. newbee.young started out with the Dark Seer and Earth Spirit combo, and then TongFu were just like, you know what, we're going to run a Slardar Undying at you, and then you have to come back and defend the safe lane. So now having it done to them as well, I don't know if it's going to be as effective against the Weaver, though. I feel like he should still be able to survive in the lane, although he might be hampered in terms of his farming levels.
Yeah, I think that's probably the goal here for IG. They're probably not going to get a kill on Weaver, but you got to keep in mind, like a decay on 2 on a very low HP carry hero like Weaver just puts him in a range where he feels maybe not safe enough to come in for a last hit, because basically one crush into a soul rip, then you are dead on that point. So IG looking to pressure, not necessarily kill in the off lane, which is, I guess, fine. IG though now saving the last pick up here for 430. Invokers in the pool, Naga's on the pool, in the pool as well. Naga's also banned out, so it seems like out of his pool of most play hero, Invoker is probably the last one. No, we're gonna run it back here with the Queen of Pain.
Well, that was what they ran in the previous series. Feeling comfortable going on that one for the Ferrari 430 hero. Obviously, it was a bit of a disaster, but you also have to think about that in the context of what else was happening in that game. They were running against a Drow strat that was able to get a level 1 Roshan. It was a Viper mid against Quap. A DP versus Queen of Pain, a little bit of a different matchup. You still have to be wary.
Oh.
All right, we're doing it. TongFu, cheese and Invictus Gaming again.
Well, I'm not sure if this is cheese. I think this is a little bit more straight up, but I like the fact that they're trying out a different angle, right?
To me, it feels almost, I mean, Chen, I feel like, is almost unpicked. If you pick a hero that, like, you haven't played yourself in however long it's been for TongFu, does that count as a little bit of something maybe?
I guess, but I don't know. Love and Rosha's like a tier above just picking up an unpicked hero, you know? He's doing a undone strat. But in any case, I guess we don't need to argue the logistics of whether this is a cheese or not. Let's argue whether this is a good pick or not, because sure, you have the Chen, you have the pushing power next to DP, but one of the other nice benefit of picking up Chen is the ability to take ganks, especially towards the mid lane. Queen of Pain's pretty resistant to that gank, I want to say.
Yeah, it feels like that's going to be one of the ways in which that hero maybe is not going to be able to get as much done as you would want. Maybe he gets an ensnare creep, able to get the catch there and keep the Queen of Pain rooted to the ground. It could be difficult, but I feel like this hero has fallen off for a reason. He actually picks up 2 smokes, in fact. Was it just the change with the Aghanim Scepter where it no longer ends up being able to get the cooldown reduction off the back of it with the or actually, excuse me, fully healing the creeps? Is that the big thing that ended up changing him, that brought him out of prominence?
I mean, I think Chen previously was only one of the few heroes that could utilize the jungle as effectively as he did. Now with the, not the introduction of the IT, but the popularity of the Iron Talon, we do see a lot more heroes kind of ducking into the jungle and using that space. And you could say arguably even more effective compared to the Chen.
Oh, and now you have a little bit of a catch onto Bobica. He's going to be ran down for a moment at least, but looks like he's going to be fine.
Bobica, I gave him the hype speech, you know, in the last draft, introducing Team IG. Kind of thoroughly fed nonstop as a Riki against a pushing strat, which granted, you know, there's very few things Riki can do. Let's see what he can do here. I think the Chen pick also kind of prevents the ability to run an aggressive dual lane as successfully.
Yeah. Because
you could try to harass and gank maybe, or you know come for a dive with the Undying, but suddenly if a Chen creeps comes out from the back line, then you could just be straight up dying yourself.
Yeah, particularly depending upon what those creeps are that end up spawning around that area. You end up being able to pick up a Satyr, start throwing out those little Hadoukens, and it's going to be a tough time for you indeed. So a bit of RNG going to be at play of this, but I feel like with this laning support combo, a Weaver here as well, you definitely need to be careful. And as you can see, XXS, he's going to be moving down here, but also going to be bringing the Undying. I'm really concerned about how much they're going to be able to get done.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the bright side is anytime the Chen is not helping, I think the IG dual lane will be winning.
Okay.
There's just very few things a Venge Weaver could do against the Undying. Just walks in, decay, one of them or even both of them. Then the lane is, pretty much under XSS control. In fact, we're going to see a Crush missing. Don't think they're going to get a kill regardless, but could have actually done some very nice damage if they did hit the Crush.
Well, the Undying now with the boots up, he's going to end up being able to punish Keibu if he pushes too far forward here. And meanwhile, the Crush going to come down onto U9. Yeah. Not what you want to see entirely. But yeah, I would agree. The one other thing we could end up seeing here is possibly Boboka trying to rotate into the jungle and mess with the Chen a little bit. It seems like, at least for now, he's going to be playing a little bit more of the farming game, considering he picked up that Dark Troll Summoner.
I don't know if he's going to mess up the Chen. I think if he runs in the jungle, he gets messed up by the Chen.
No.
Chen in the jungle was a
scary sight.
Yeah.
Look at the CS already, though. Like, the Radiant are having a ball of a time. You've got this Weaver 6-2, and they're trying to mess around a little bit, at least for the moment, with Keibu, and he's certainly struggling.
Well, I think it looks that way mostly because there's a Chen free farming in jungle. I mean, if you look at the actual lanes, Slaughter getting 5 CS in the off lane. That's great for the IG squad. And of course, Juggernaut, as well as Queen of Pain on the mid lane for IG, still doing not too bad. So I think for both teams, they're farming quite decently.
Yeah. DD now up for the Undying. A nice little chunk of gold for him. They are going to be wrapping around now. Oh, clicked on the shop. And seeing if they can possibly make some type of, maybe a courier snipe happen, or they're going to be bringing out a bottle anytime soon. Well, Ferrari is getting a bit of CS. He might be bringing it shortly, and if they're not careful, they could end up getting that sniped out.
Well, we might see a snipe happening in the mid lane here as well. Boboka waiting with the double damage.
Lin a little bit far forward now. Does still have the Spirit Siphon there. Going to drop it. Is only level 1, so he throws it onto the Undying. A little bit more damage coming out from him, but it looks like with that Junin, is going to be able to catch that. And first blood going their way. Well played. Queen of Pain, Ferrari 430.
Yeah, they'll take that trade. The other thing is, I believe Chen used the smoke, and they ran into the opposite of the jungle and basically just sat there and farmed the camp. He wasn't able to really set up a key gank or anything.
Yeah, and the bottle now is going to be coming out for this Queen of Pain, and it's also going to have a magic stick on it, which keeps her a little bit more survivable against any rotations that do end up coming. Now, not just in the context of the hero or the player 430, but just in general, how worried do you have to be for the side of TongFu about this Queen of Pain starting to get a lot of CS early? Is this going to be a rotation and a kill as soon as she hits level 6?
I think the way that 430 generally likes to play is more of a farm-oriented Queen of Pain. Okay. He really only moves with a teleport scroll to make a counter gank with Sonic Wave. So it is worrisome that 430 is farming well, but it's pretty much kind of the norm for him to farm well. So if that makes sense. He's going to be a threat throughout the game, and the only thing you really need to play around the fact that he will be having level 6. And look at the fact that he already got a teleport scroll delivered to him in the mid lane. Like, he knows he's expected to make that rotation.
Oh, Penance, but the stomp coming a little bit too late. They throw out one more little, hey, how you doing for Boboka, but he saunters off, and unfortunately that smoke breaking. If Keibu had been able to find the stun first, I think they would have been able to get that kill with the Chen creeps. They got a pretty large army at this point, and obviously the Centaur Conqueror not the best at being able to dole out damage, but a 2-second stun, that's not bad at this point in the game. So good stuff, but not able to find the kill.
Yeah, one thing I want to speak a little bit more about the Chen pick is that because the Radiant team is running a Chen instead of a dedicated laning support, and same thing with the Undying, not running as a safe lane dedicated support, you can see that respectively for both teams off lane, they're farming relatively well for this stage of the game. Slaughter getting a couple of CS, same thing with the Faceless Void. I think overall this favors a team that's trying to build a Blink Dagger in the off lane, right? So I think Slaughter getting the free farm trade, not free farm trade, but a farm trade essentially against Faceless Void is good for IG. Because the team really just takes off once the Blink Dagger is online.
That's true, and they'll be able to find those kills. I mean, the trade-off, of course, is what is this Chen going to be able to get done? Like, do we see him start to try and roll down and take a couple of towers? Is he going to get a mechanism possibly at a decent timing? It's tough to tell, but they are going to be moving in now in a pretty big creep wave, and Slardar are not going to be there, at least for the moment. They should be able to do a decent chunk of damage to this. Also, the Aquila up and online, and I don't know, they've got the creeps that are going to start to move in. It's a little bit weird that they didn't bring them earlier.
No. Venge coming in, the crush is going to come out. Tombstone's going to get dropped, but that Tombstone's going to get broken up very much instantly. Kabu taking a ton of damage. And here comes the TP. I talked about the TP rotation from 430. Does have Sonic Wave available. Don't want to even pop it. They will get the clean kill on Venge. On the back line here, though, it's going to be Weaver picking off a Slaughter. U9 is going to be just getting the hell out of there. Looks like it's a 1-for-1 trade, but with the double TP rotation, I think it's enough to essentially stop this push altogether. I'm going to call that an IG victory, despite losing the Slaughter.
It was nice, certainly. The plus side is that you didn't end up losing that Weaver. Obviously, he was a part of that kill, able to get that one ostensibly solo. But yeah, I would agree that the rotation, being able to defend that tower, that's something that you would want to be able to take at this point for somewhat free. And IG just responding well to the aggression. So good stuff so far. Can they keep it up? The Invis Rune, Weaver might just be able to kill off Bobica, and that's going to be the stun, jumping forward. Yeah, it's going to be a dead Bobica.
Sonic Wave!
Oh my God! Weaver just explodes. Ferrari told him a story very loudly in his ear.
Yeah, that was such a fast combo. Sonic Wave into Blink Scream that the Weaver didn't even have time to time-lapse. Yeah. So, good pick off here. IG will again take that trade. So, just kind of small victories here and there. But it'll build up very quickly on a very snowballish hero, the Queen of Pain.
I really like this Slardar going for the Iron Talon. Worth noting, by the way, that jump onto the Venge, it was first a bash from XXS, and then he followed it up with a crush. So the double stun, they might have been able to turn that had he not gotten that first hit bash on the Vengeful Spirit, but unfortunately that was indeed going to be the case. Meanwhile, you do have no TP score on Queen of Pain, but they is going to be moving down towards this bottom lane, realizing that the Sonic Wave is on cooldown. The Radiant are going to try and push this tower, but with such a large contingent moving in, they could definitely punish with the Glimpse. There's going to be the stun. Weaver gets the tower, looking for the deny from 430, but no luck. And with that, they're going to give it up.
Yeah, also in the last team fight around the tier 1 tower bottom, we do see the power of Chen versus Undying, right? That Tombstone dropped, and then it just got killed. So I do expect that happening throughout multiple team fights if the Chen army is in position. And speaking of Chen army, it's rotating towards the mid lane. Again, Queen O is down, so why don't we just take advantage of that relatively long cooldown at this stage of the game and start punishing the tier 1 towers.
And it's really impressive that they were able to take the bottom towers. Ferrari going to blink away for the moment, and oh, that Arcane Rune. This could be very valuable. Like, getting the reduction on the cooldown for Sonic Wave is actually huge this game, because you have this really key timing that you want to hit for TongFu of consistently throwing down and taking out towers at the same time as this ultimate's on cooldown for Lin. So, and even being able to do it around the Chen army as well. So I feel like if you get the Sonic Wave and you get it on that slightly shorter cooldown, even just for one instance of it, maybe you end up being able to take a tower and bring that momentum back in their favor.
Sure. That is definitely the key pickup here. Now, Weaver, looking at his farm, he's got the basics, the power turrets, the Aquila. Do you think he's actually thinking of not going Desolator next? Because generally, if you are going to go Deso, you just pick up the Blightstone. It will definitely help your tower push. I'm surprised that he hasn't done so. So my only kind of remaining guess is that maybe he's thinking a little bit more of a defensive item, like a Lincoln's, BKB, that kind of stuff.
I always give Lincoln's a lot of trash, but yeah, I agree that this might be one of the games.
I mean, what does it actually block? It just blocks an amp. This Glimpse?
Glimpse is the big one, I think, because that is something that I feel like would really punish the Weaver. And then maybe you still probably have to go BKB eventually.
I think if you're going to go a defensive item against this team, BKB just might be the best, because it does block Glimpse as well.
Yeah. I'd just be worried about going it so early, and then the what I'd really like to see is like Dragonlance into something else.
Actually, he is going Dragonlance. He's got an Ogre Club coming to him. Meanwhile, top lane here looks like wrong. Gets jumped in by a Chronosphere, but 430 will come in here. He does have that rune popped. Can Sonic Wave and blink in for the quick snipe, but looks like unable to really find an opening to blink in safely.
Yeah, realizing what's going on right now, TongFu do not want to take this engagement. Every little skirmish turns into, like, it's the butterfly effect, I feel like, in this game, where if you end up sort of throwing out one of those sonic waves and it doesn't end up coming about too much, or likewise if you end up, you know, popping an exorcism and you're not able to take a tower with it, it really hurts your timing in your draft.
So Vanguard picked up here by Juggernaut. Very interesting change. Normally you see a lot of safe lane Juggernaut going off one of two builds. The farm build with the Battle Fury, or a swap back in. Is there going to be a Static Storm? They need vision. Oh, no, Static Storm is on the dire side. Excuse me. QD being chased down, but he does have the Vanguard.
Oh man, that was too bad. The Centaur Conqueror did not have enough mana for the stun, and so because of that, they didn't combo it together perfectly. I'm not sure if that was the plan, but that certainly felt like it was the thing they were going to go for, was a swap into stun. Unfortunately, it looks like TongFu are not going to be able to get the Queen of Pain, but should be able to get a consolation prize in terms of this Tier 1 tower top.
Yeah, so going back to the Vanguard build here for Juggernaut, I think what IG is looking for is more group-up Dota play. Because normally, if you want to just farm, Battle Fury is the build. If you want to fight, you're looking at like drums, kind of Yasha, or like a Diffusal Blade. Vanguard is only good for this. The group up and push, group up and fight. The problem with this build is if you don't get a lot of objective or successful fight out of this, you just fall off with your net worth. So it's very vital for QD to participate in these fights and come out ahead.
Well, and I think I'm wondering also if his thought here was, I'm going to be able to go up against the Weaver. I see that he's went for this Aquila. Maybe he's going to be going for Lincolns and he's not going to have any damage. But with the added Dragonlance, he actually does a pretty significant amount. So if he got the Vanguard, then he'd be able to be more survivable, just kind of sustain in a fight and throw out those Blade Furies. But I like that the U9 ended up going for this Dragonlance and now is going to end up doing at least a marginal bit more damage.
I'm going to say Deso lets you do more damage.
Oh, certainly. Yeah,
but
definitely.
I get exactly where he's coming from, right? You got to respect
survivability.
You got to respect the Quap nukes and whatnot. And you know, if you're trapped in a storm, then Deso does nothing for you. So here comes TongFu. The tier 2 is going to likely drop. The Radiant not really in position to defend. Again, they'll just take all these trades, even though this one is somewhat of an unfavorable trade to begin with. But better get something than nothing.
Yeah, I think that you think back to that mid lane where the Queen of Pain jumped on him with the Sonic Wave on top of a Scream of Pain, and I mean, Reaver was just dead. Like, there was nothing to keep him alive.
Speaking of dead, looks like LPC is going to be dropping here. 430, right next to the enemy tier 2, grabs a solo kill, even forcing the usage of the...
Yeah, I don't think that was the play, though, because now you're going to end up running into this. Silence onto QD. They do get a really nice Chronosphere, but I'm not sure if it's quite going to be enough.
Vanguard Dodo?
Oh, they're really tanky. They're trying to bring him down. Lin is almost going to end up dropping, and they do manage to find that kill. Oh, God. The Chronosphere was good, but it caught him in. Kabu now controlled, and U9 trying to run away. They have the amp damage and might be able to find this. They need to just get one more jump. Blink Dagger about to be off of cooldown. They find the kill.
They'll get one more. Kabu is running away from the Disruptor. It looks like he's going to go down, running towards the tower. Not really giving a single player a kill, but that push, done. And that was without the Sonic Wave, like you pointed out.
Oh my God, I felt like it was just such a better opportunity right there, but not having their full consortment and maybe the Chronosphere dropping on top of them wasn't the play.
You know what won them the fight?
What's that?
Literally the Vanguard. Like, they threw everything on the Juggernaut. And once the Chrono came out, it was a good Chrono.
Yeah.
But Chrono without damage follow-up, which is exactly what happened there, is just a stun that does really nothing else. So with the Chrono as well as all the nukes on cooldown, IG says, yeah, let's go. We got Blink Dagger on Slardar, we got Blink on the Quap, and we got Glimpse. Like, you're not running away from us. And that's exactly what happened in a team fight. IG going for a Roshan play, but it looks like great anticipation here from TongFu. So IG's going to get the next best thing, which is a gank attempt here on Faith. Looks like they will find it. Ooh, he actually jumps away. You do not jump away from this team, though. Again, two Blink, and a Glimpse. He will jump away again, and oh, maybe he will be able to jump away. Slaughter will blink in 1 second, blinks forward into an easy crush, I say.
Yeah, he's got no TP scroll. He's just trying to waste some time right now, and yeah, there's no way to get away from that one. So they find the kill. They're going to go push out the waves, see what they can do. But as you were saying, like, it's a kill to secure themselves Roshan if they want to go that route. Looks like for the moment at least, they're going to try and go now onto Lin, amp damage, and if they end up finding this one, it's starting to look really, really bad for TongFu, and it was already so good for them before. KaVu swapping, trying to turn, but the glimpse back, he's just going to end up beating his own life away now. Oh, KaVu, say it ain't so. There's going to be the K as well as the jump forward, the Flesh Golem, and one quick swap is going to end up finding it. Godlike streak for Ferrari 430. Beautiful Dota indeed.
Yeah, so remember they did pick Quap 2 games in a row. And this time he actually got to play Dota. Last game he just got wrecked in the lane by a Viper. Never really got off the ground because of the pushing Shrek coming his way. But right now, 9-0-2 and Roshan is happening. And I'm going to say the QD Vanguard has fully paid off because he is still able to transition off of these kills and these objectives into more of a farming Battle Fury build next.
Well, I was saying, as we do have a little bit more, Tombstone drop down, a couple of creeps here, trying to kill off Wrong, but not a great opportunity. All right, let's do it. Let's party.
Where's the damage?
To take down Roshan. Oh, no. Faith.
Really?
Oh, no. Faith. It wasn't meant to go like this. They end up being able to get the Aegis now on the Queen of Pain. Lin trying to get a silence off. They are going to be able to kill off that Disruptor for the moment, and maybe going to be able to do something else. The Omni is down, but yeah, they're looking to see if they could find the Aegis. It's already been picked up, buds. U9. Unfortunately, we talked about the lack of damage maybe being a problem, and starting to see it slightly.
Yeah. I mean, that is the inherent problem of going a support like Chen, as well as a carry like Weaver. You really need a lot of farm to make those heroes actually output damage, especially under the Chronosphere. You really need those tier 2 towers as an objective being taken down. And that's why I'm a little bit bigger fan of a Desolator build. I hate going back to that point in particular. But you're operating with a big AoE ultimate, the Chronosphere. You got to take advantage of by outputting some damage.
Well, it was like earlier today. We saw a Kunkka draft in conjunction with the Faceless Void, and he went 2-3-0-1. So he went 3 into Tidebringer on position 4 Kunkka, and basically all he did was throw out torrents randomly, and then occasionally, when the big team fights happened, he just threw it into the Chronosphere, and they ended up not really suffering from a lack of damage because the supports were able to dole it out. And as you say, the Chen, he just doesn't do that. He's got the mechanism to keep you alive, but what are you doing in the midst of that team fight?
Level 1 penitence, dude.
Or test of faith.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that pure damage. Random number.
The downside for this TongFu lineup is that they're not going to ramp up damage anytime soon. Look at what Weaver's building. 5k item, that gives you what, plus 15, 20? I understand why you trash on the Lincolns, because I do it too, but with a hero like Weaver, it's sometimes a necessary evil that you have to pick up with Lincolns. That's why you want to get the damage when you can, the Desolator when you can. And again, I do believe Desolator is the build-up simply because you're running a chance strat. You want to put the minus armor onto those towers, making it easy to push. U9, whoa, actually, I want to say has no chance, but he has a chance here. His team's coming in. He's actually going to get the bailout, and, well, the Storm is so good. Faith in a lot of trouble, unable to jump out. 430 in the middle, everything. He doesn't care. He picks up a triple kill. He's beyond godlike. He wants a little bit more. Lin gets that back in, and Lin's going to be dead as well. 430 says, teammates, you got that one. I'm chasing for the final one. I see LPC. I'm looking for the kill. He's going to get the kill. He's got Aegis, so he's not going to even care about dying here.
Oh, Ferrari 430 doesn't even fall. What a player. Ultra kill at 18 minutes in, and it's beautiful to see. And that's the thing. You talk about these types of snowballing builds that you've got. You've got a tremendous amount of damage there with the Veil, and then the Orchid on top of it to set up that kill. I mean, a really nice swap granted, as well as the counterplay by that Void, but at the end of the day, again, where is your damage? The only person that died was Slardar.
Yeah, that was, I mean, at the beginning of the team fight, that was pretty good save, right, for TongFu.
Yeah.
They went on the Weaver with Orchid and Blink Crush, and they even got the defensive swap and the Chrono off. The problem with that is, again, once all those spells went out, it's just like, basically TongFu's only option was to retreat, but you're retreating against a team that has Blinks, Sprints, and Glimpse. It's hard to retreat.
And honestly, when you've got Ferrari with an Aegis on him, he is not going to be stopping. And you look right now, the rest of his team is on the other side of the map, and he is just continuing to chase. He decides now, all right, maybe it's time to head away from here.
He might
overextend it a little bit. Still does have Aegis, though, but the rest of the team pushing in the top lane, and can he get out after the fact? Fails the test, and
Centaur
for the crush, see if they can get the silence. They're going to jump in now with the Slardar, and
they're going to
end up going down. They find the kill. 885 gold going his way.
Yeah, that's actually I don't want to say mistake, just the drawback of being over-aggressive. I mean, of course, if he does just get a random solo pickoff, we'll be still singing his praises. Just, you know, it's just a byproduct of playing that aggressive.
The ends justify the means, Lumi. Unfortunately, the ends were not good that time.
We could blame XSS instead, you know? Why didn't he just blink and stun the Centaur?
Yeah.
And then the Quap could blink out?
That's another good
bad play from Slardar instead of bad play from 430, you know?
Oh, man.
I just, but you know.
For sure. I like this Undying pickup, too. Going for the point booster and eventually, I'm assuming, into an Aghanim Scepter. You could argue, like, Guardians would be pretty solid right now to just be able to secure that push. But I feel like this item is so great for what it gives you, making you that tankable hero. And then you think about a support that's somewhat defensive and an Undying in certain ways. He can sort of hold down an area, but you get a mechanism on him. You get these Arcane Boots as well, as we see U9 getting jumped on him. But then you transition into a lot more damage and tankability and survivability. He just can't get away. Time lapses is going to be able to scooch you out.
Good save.
But you look at this, and now he's going to be able to survive in the team fights once he gets the Ags up, and also has that Flesh Golem for the damage amp. So a hero that can work in the context of being somewhat defensive.
I think it's more of the context of this game that this build is good. I think in a different game, you actually see Undying going 1-4-4 instead of this 4-1-4 build.
Right.
Simply because you just don't expect your mana pool to be able to allow you to spam Decay this much. But if you look at the TongFu lineup, how are they actually going to win a team fight? Just picture a scenario where they win a team fight. It's probably going to be a long and drawn-out one, where the Weaver is able to get off multiple Sakuchi, where the bug is actually going to kind of persist on heroes for a long time. But guess what? That's where Undying becomes the king of a drawn-out team fight. Can you imagine him throwing out Decay on, you know, 2-3 heroes on a 4-second cooldown? This is the ultimate trump in a long, drawn-out team fight. So I really like the item choices for IG. They're building out for all the scenarios, right? Even the best-case scenario, they just win a team fight outright, and you just don't need the Aghanims for Undying. But if the team fights do start to get dicey, you know, you still have a trump. So
absolutely, got a trump, and I feel like right now they're going to be trying to make use of it. I mean, he doesn't have the Ags as of yet, but a lot of ways to be answering this.
It's interesting that he just picked up a casual win lace 22 minutes in, though.
Hey,
or did he have that before? I don't think he did.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd inventory, but all right, maybe we've been praising his item choices too much, as it looks like he ended up going for the win lace. What you're talking about? The Lincoln Sphere is now up, so don't have to worry about the Orchid. The damage is slightly higher. You do have, you know, 1,700 HP on this hero now, and dealing about 150 per hit, so 300 total if you get a Geminate onto somebody.
Okay.
There's the pieces. You're starting to see maybe a little bit of an ability to fight, at least. You also have the Death Prophet now, who did buy the Ghost Scepter earlier, went back and sold it, and now has an Ogre Club in buyback, it looks like.
Okay.
So instead going to be going for the BKB, and they're going to run into XXS first.
All right, the smokes is going to break. They will know XXS is going to be here. Immediate blink. Oh, they got an illusion. Oh, no, they even commit the chrono for it. It's time to run, but again, you're running against double blink and glimpse. It's not going to be good. XXS is on the hunt. He's the fish. He's trying to look for something, but it looks like Habu's going to be the first one to get found. He gets healed up, but, well, they trade the Avenge for the a Tombstone, and here comes the Juggernaut. He comes in, trying to get something done. Lin, the Ogre Club, unable to really save him. And it is a disaster, as some would say.
This is not the way it was meant to be. Your Weaver's just jumping around in the back lines, trying to find anything at all, and just not going to be able to find a kills. Even the Disruptor at this point, I feel like, is too tanky to kill. He's got an Urn, he's got 1,000 HP. Like, none of them are really going to be able to find a kill at all. They're just too tanky, and a lack of damage right now from the Radiant. I feel like we've been saying it all game long, but it's remaining true. And of course, you start the team fight, your two big damage abilities, going to throw out the Death Prophet.
They got the illusion.
Chronosphere.
They got the illusion good, though. I mean, it's really unfair to say they don't have enough damage because they use all of it on the illusion. Like, I imagine if they use it on a disruptor, they get that kill, right? Let's be fair.
I mean, probably.
Right, so it's like...
I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance that they could potentially not get that kill. If he's like on the edge of the Chronosphere and Undying heals him with Soul Rip, considering how little damage they have, there's a real chance.
They also have a mech on the dire side, so yeah, I can see them not getting the kill. So, look, I'm saying you just don't win a team fight blowing out your ults on their illusion.
Yeah,
so.
that's for sure. It's been a rough game, I would say, for TongFu, and with another Aegis online, a BKB on Queen of Pain, this certainly feels like it's going to be time to try and think about going up for that high ground. Previously, we had the Ferrari 430 doing a little bit of roaming through the woods alone. He got picked off and punished for it, but this time around, the rest of the squad from the old ig.vitality might try and hem in his slightly crazy ways. Let's see if they can finish this one off. And looking up here towards the top lane, but not going to be able to find anything.
I'm thinking this game, if IG wins it, it's still going to go on for about maybe 10 to 15 more minutes. Because right now, IG really lacks one item to push high ground. Like, who's actually hitting the tower, right? You got a Beyond God like Queen of Pain, but she doesn't hit tower that hard. Well, hold on, I hear Orchid somewhere.
She's going to hit Kabu pretty hard over here in the jungle, and a couple quick right clicks, almost going to be able to find the kill. Ferrari 430 in some trouble. They dropped the chrono, but they caught U9 in it. Oh no,
that's not
10
the play.
Second actually, but they do have the Aegis, so it's still okay. It's not the worst.
Well, it's not okay considering the fact, whoa, he blinks forward. He has glimpse backup. Can they give vision for the glimpse? Looks like a little bit out of range. It's not okay in the sense that there's no chrono defending the base now.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, you do not have any great way to control, and who's going to hit the base? Apparently, QD feels comfortable doing this. He does have Manta style ready to pop it if things pop off a little bit. Meanwhile, the rest of the side of IG is going to be moving in and getting themselves in a position. They place down a pretty aggressive ward, and meanwhile, U9 just trying to hit away at this. They have no Aegis. QD does need to be careful. If they end up dropping him a little bit lower, they might be able to find this kill. The Medallion debuff for the moment. Sakuchi through, kills off the healing ward, is going to be able to go back afterwards.
He had to use time. Wait, how did he actually get back? Oh, it was a... Ooh, that was a play. Chen using Sen back.
Oh my god.
On the Weaver, and then he just went and sniped the ward.
That is so legit.
Yeah.
All right, I see you.
Yeah, I see you too, man. That was good.
TongFu.
And now IG says, all right, we respect that. We back off for now. But as I was saying, I think, you know, if IG doesn't pick off like 2 random people here and Chronosphere doesn't drop for no reason, then I think IG really needs like for example, an AC on the Queen of Pain before they can push high ground. So I think this game will still go on for a bit, but have no doubts. IG is really, really ahead.
Oh, and Undying now only 500 gold away from that Ags, and potentially you could even see him go up there and start hitting high ground himself if he wanted to. I mean, you just drop the tombstone, throw it at a case, soul rip yourself if you take some damage. Why not? You're a tanky zombie.
I'm gonna say that's probably a game-losing play to have your Undying walk up hit high ground. I mean, I respect the fact that he's tanky and he could hit maybe decently hard. He's also the team's all of their heals, so I imagine they want to have the big Undying zombie stay back.
See, this is why we have the analyst here, to keep me in check when I start going crazy. See, I'm the guy that just runs up to high ground and starts hitting it with the dazzles.
I respect it. I respect it.
Well, the movement now through the jungle, the Radiant side, TongFu doing anything that they can at this point. The Void, I mean, he's ahead of the Slarter. Slarter has what he needs, so there's like pieces here and there for how they get back into this. Like Diffusal Blade on Void, it is damage. It's starting to solve the problems. I'm just wondering if they're going to lose too much before then. But as you talked about multiple times, who is it that's going to hit high ground?
Yeah, you know, we keep saying TongFu doesn't have damage, they don't have damage, but once they do get the damage, I think TongFu team will ramp up much faster and harder than IG, because Chronosphere is one of the best way to win the late game, right? So once that Weaver gets the Desolator, and honestly, if you look at his current gold, he's not too far off, but he needs it now as OutPC gets defensive leaf swap. Okay, the Chronosphere is not bad here, and 430 now under a lot of trouble. He will need to blink out. He will do so. Who's actually dying yet? Nobody. But here comes some decays, man. Bobuka is going to go to work. Sonic Wave's going to hit 2. The zombies are on the chase, and they will try to run. Bobuka running forward, and it's a salvage team fight for TongFu.
That was good. The Sonic Wave was not where it needed to be. I mean, obviously 430 having a BKB and defensively blink out, wanted to make sure he didn't go down there, but regardless, you got to hit that Sonic Wave on point, and so
yeah,
maybe little pieces there. They hold out a little bit longer, and there's a chance.
I think every time TongFu holds without losing a big structure or buyback or a hero, their win rate just kind of goes up. Not even by that little. I think maybe 5% of the time. So, I mean, see, at the end of the game, you're looking at a Vanguard Juggernaut who, granted went back for Battle Fairy Manta, but still a Vanguard Juggernaut that's trying to outcarry a Weaver and a Faceless Void.
I mean, he did go back to that battlefield like you're talking about, and he has 3,300 gold on him. So this can eventually get built into an Abyssal. You're going to be able to make that type of play where you're... I feel like this Jug is still going to be a problem for them, but it's not going to be a big problem for the Weaver.
He has a max crits.
Okay. He just wants to survive?
Yeah, I guess,
We've seen a couple of Jugs doing it. Damage-wise, what do you get? An extra 5% crit, so that's what? I don't want to do math right now. It's 10-ish damage? Is that correct?
Well, it's just more about what you're thinking you're hitting in teamfights, right? If you're hitting buildings, the crit does nothing for you, whereas you want stats for that, right?
Yeah.
And I guess he's the team's primary pusher, at least up to this point. If you're hitting heroes, I think the crit just gives you a little bit more. But, obviously you're not as tanky. He's looking at 2,000 HP almost at this point.
No.
And,
rather tanky.
As much as I'm, laughing at his build or whatever, not even laughing, but if you look at the net worth chart, he's at the end of the day still highest.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and eventually, with the Vanguard, you would be picking that up. You'd be getting the Abyssal. You'd be going back for like a Scotty as well, and he can still go for those items. It's just a matter of the order in which they were taken, and the fact that he's been able to stay alive this whole time. I mean, 1 death with 1 kill and 7 assists. It's pretty significant. I mean, he's been doing what he needs to do. You compare that to Ferrari, obviously. It's a little bit of a different show. 14, 1, and 6 on this guy. I mean, and the 1 death was like pretty inconsequential, fairly speaking. So I feel like the fact that these two heroes are being able to scale already so well in towards this later stage of the game, it still puts TongFu at a really huge deficit, right around 20,000 with 20,000 net worth, but it's not insurmountable.
Yeah. I wouldn't say the death is actually inconsequential, right? Because he gave a beyond godlike streak.
Okay, you're right.
So maybe that was kind of like a wake-up call for IG's like, despite our big lead, we kind of could still lose this game. And again, I want to check over TongFu's items in progression. Weaver's got Desolator now, so he's actually a respectable force with Lincoln Sphere, so that means he's not, that easy to kill either. So Faceless Void, I think the Diffusal Blade has gotten more so of a defensive purpose. Like, you could actually purge off the silence on you, so you could jump away. But, like you pointed out earlier, offensively is not too bad either. So
it's a good amount of damage.
Yeah, it's a well-rounded item here for the Faceless Void. So I think IG needs to really kind of collect himself here and look to end the game soon.
And probably, I would imagine that it's going to be around this next Roshan Pit fight. We do just now get a BKB on the Slaughter XXS, and it looks like they realized what was happening, very well spread out, and likewise, TongFu not heading up to high ground. They back out, they realize that they can't take a fight when IG is set up like that, and so they're going to head back in now, thinking that IG are going to be the ones that smoke, and if they catch them as they're going up to the high ground, oh, it looks like instead it might be TongFu who catch them as they come out of this alleyway. No, they're not going to be able to find him as of yet.
Yeah, they just lack vision. I'm not sure if they... Oh, Smoke will break. XSS looking for the jump, but he actually only gets Lin. Defensive swap, and the Chronosphere will come out here, and they're dropping the Storm. They're dropping the right click in the middle. Looks like Slaughter is going to be the first one to go down. Zombies, as well as the case, being propagated everywhere. LPC on the back line under a lot of trouble. Omni Slash gets Yosir by the Disruptor. Lin in the middle of everything. I think Lin's going to drop down way too fast, and that is perhaps the beginning of the end. The Bugs will come out here, and Unai trying to fight a long, drawn-out team fight for his team, but he's really unable to lock down anything. It looks like at the end of the fight, it's going to be a 3-for-2. Does IG have enough to now push high ground off of this?
It's a tough question. I feel like they might be able to. You did already use the Chronosphere, as you saw. The Exorcism is now gone as well for 100 seconds. I'm not sure if they feel entirely confident. Again, it was a fairly even exchange when you break down the damage that was dealt there. And the other thing, though, is just how tanky that Undying got. He had the 4 stacks of the decay up, and I think that it hit on several different heroes throughout it. So a really, really hard to kill hero, and the whole time through he was getting that Flesh Golem damage amp up. So I don't know. I agree that it was definitely a pretty nice save with the Venge and the Chrono, but still DP got taken down quickly. And that's something to be concerned about. You need to find some other way to keep this Death Prophet alive.
I mean, they still have things like Sandback, right? Sandback plus Yules as a defensive swap. Like, I think if they really want to commit to save the DP, they can. It's just that, you know, sending back, for example, on a DP to the base, like, how much does that actually help you in terms of winning that team fight?
Yeah, I think that it could also be worth trying to build towards some more items for her that allow her to survive. Like, thinking again towards a Ghost Scepter. The BKB is already online, so that helps a lot against the majority of the damage.
She pretty much got all the defensive items she could afford to pick up, right?
Yeah.
And she's still dying, so it's not a good sign.
Shiva's guard is going to be pretty solid too. Although that being said, the other thing to keep in mind here, Weaver starting to do a pretty large amount of damage. The Chrysalis is now up and online. Do you think he goes for a Bloodthorn in this game with him?
Oh, I think you got to go the big D, the Daedalus.
Okay.
I mean, I think he's actually single-handedly punched down the Slaughter in the Chronosphere, so that's pretty impressive. Yeah, I think they need some kind of spike damage item to give them that quick pick. But I guess Bloodthorn essentially is the same thing. You know what? The more that you make me think about it, I think both is actually quite good.
Yeah, if you're able to catch Ferrari, obviously, it's really good. But the BKB means that's a little bit less possible. Juggernaut might be the one where if you can get him before he ends up being able to get off an Omni Slash or a Blade Fury, that would be pretty solid. But again, the split pushing, it's making them sort of have to think twice. And they are going to have to back out and bring QD to defend. IG, the game that was looking so in the bag, still very much in their favor.
They're up by 20K, but it just doesn't feel like they're guaranteed to win as they were maybe 10, 15 minutes ago.
It's not easy to take high ground. Yeah. It's just really difficult. And
I am surprised a little bit by Queen of Pain's choice to go Shiva's guard. It makes more sense with the Veil with a nuke build that she's going for. But at the same time, I think AC would do wonders against, you know, the physical damage output of TongFu.
Yeah.
Now rethinking about the Bloodthorn choice a little bit more, maybe it's not so good considering that you're looking at double BKBs on Queen of Pain and the Slaughter, and of course the Juggernaut has Manta to get rid of it.
Okay.
So maybe just like a straight up good old Daedalus is just better.
Okay. That could be pretty reasonable. I like that idea. It's just always a fun item to think about. I love the idea.
I mean, I like to see the red numbers as much as you do.
Exactly. So. It makes me all giddy inside. But yeah, it looks like, at least for now, he's going to drop something. What did he just drop? Oh, his Aquila. And he's going to be bringing out a smoke. He's picking... I'll take that as oh, he needs TP scroll, of course. All right, so he's going to try and keep the creep waves pushed out. So still going to be able to hold on to that, but for the meantime, at least, the name of the game for Weaver is get yourself a good amount of farm, start building up towards more of this damage item, and get it online before the next push. But likewise, ig.vitality, XXS is here. He's going to try and see if he can find this jump, and U9, not going to be found.
Yeah, I think any time that he's biting for the team is excellent, because this Aegis is running out. The creep wave is constantly being pushed. And I think the 20K gold deficit that we're looking at is not very accurate painting of this game. I think the TongFu team overall maybe uses gold better on the hero. They just scale better, right?
Yeah.
Weaver, Void.
Although it is worth noting, if a team fight happens like outside of the base, IG are going to win that every time. It's just actually forcing that engagement that's difficult, because you're going to see TongFu constantly avoiding it and coming back, holding out for the Chronosphere. And if you push too far forward with the IG lineup and you get caught in a big Chrono, that's good. That's cartons. That's potentially even the game if you feed back a lot of gold to that Weaver.
I'm very curious in terms of what are the next items that we see. We do see Juggernaut working towards the Butterfly. He should have it before this next push. Queen of Pain sitting at 5.7K gold. You know, what are we thinking? A physical damage item for the high ground, like an
Necro.
AC?
Necro time. Probably not Necro.
Probably not Necro. I mean, Sheep would be not bad.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're just like, you know what, let's just use our Aegis. Think about the item choice a little bit later.
Yeah, that's true. They're going to end up going in. Tier 3 tower's already taking some damage. U9 goes forward. Prop the Link is able to get the crush. In some trouble. They need to get the Chrono down, but oh, they dropped the Static Storm right in time to cancel it out. All goes wrong for TongFu. They buy back on that Void. Going to try and run down Cable, and that's going to be another one. This is a lot of damage. She's eaten by Bobica. Still very tanky, trying to heal up. Look at the strength team, but it's not nearly enough, and they have been able to kill him off. At the same time, though, look at your barracks, TongFu. You need to defend against this. Lin is doing everything possible with, but 3 heroes dead. Oh, they silence him again! Faith, he ends up being able to get the diff plate off for the moment, so is going to be able to turn this back around for R430, taking a lot of damage. Can they find the kill? XXS, he is going to end up going down. They kill off Ferrari. 2 are dead, a 3rd as well, and 4, when all is said and done, maybe going to be able to make a little bit more happen, looking for QD, but I don't think that they get him. So all in all, a pretty good hold, but they did lose the melee barracks.
And a buybacks. Yeah, or 2 buybacks. You know, I felt like IG could have executed that push much better. I think they, again, hold that thought, as we have a Yules sending the Jug up in the air, taking away that DD, and that would be the back off sign here. I think IG could have executed that push much cleaner. To me, they kind of just felt like they were really ahead, and they just brute forced it.
Yeah.
You saw the Undying just walked in and tanked a full duration of the Exorcism. And it doesn't really matter how tanky you are. You can't take the full duration of an Exorcism. He just basically flat out died to the DP for free. I think he could have just sandbagged and just maybe decay more on the back line. But what he did by tanking the Exorcism allowed his team to take the melee racks. But the team, again, just chased in for more kills. Yeah, sure, they got off the clutch silences against the Void, but you got the melee already. Why don't you just back off and, you know, buy your next round of items and go again?
I know, it felt like they were just trying to outplay them too much, as opposed to actually just, you know, keeping those eyes on the prize, trying to take gaming, the objectives. Man. Like, oh, and now maybe going to be able to find Cave with just a quick Omni Flash. Going to try and transfer it over. Guess what? I want to kill my friends too, but that might be enough to be able to pull him back into position, and the swap out.
Oh, U9!
What are you doing? They
Not the play.
No. Now maybe this is going to end up going terribly. The Static Storm's down. TongFu. It could have been great, but now Faith is also going to be able to fall down already.
Okay, that was a throw.
Called.
That was a throw.
Oh, the Weaver. Oh, the Weaver. Sonic Wave celebratory. But Invictus Gaming end up taking it in the end. I thought we might have seen a comeback, but
they had the tools. They had the tools. It's just that toolbox that they were holding, they dropped it on their feet instead.
Oh no. Hammering themselves.
Yeah.
Well, that is going to mean that, again, TongFu in a little bit of a scary spot as far as thinking about moving on to the playoffs. I still think they have a chance mathematically. Nope. No, I think they might not. That might have been it for them.
That was a chance.
That might have been it for them.
And then U9 ran into Sakuchi. The Chronospheres this game has not been...
Well, it's worth noting, if you're talking about micro mistakes, if that's what decides the game, there might have been a macro problem. You know what I'm saying there?
Okay.
You picking up what I'm putting down?
No, not really.
Okay.
Explain it to me.
Well, like if your draft revolves around you hitting a Chronosphere to win, like...
Okay, I get where you're getting at.
I don't know.
But, you know, they had those Chronos to win.
Yeah.
And U9 ran into them. Or there was one where I think U9 was hitting people and then he just chronoed them. These are not really game-winning Chronos. They're more like game-losing Chronos. Well, am I just being too hard?
I don't think so. It was not the best game. I would say that. And it certainly wasn't like the best Faceless Void game we've ever seen. Certainly.
Far from it. Far from it, yeah.
But I also think that it wasn't just down to Faith. Like, it felt like the way that they played the game and their laning stage, every part of it was dominated by IG. And Faith stands out just because it's that, you know, big Chronosphere that drops down or whatever. But
one last thing before we go. Thumbs up or thumbs down on the Chen pick? Like, 0, 5, and 7, you know, not really favorable because they did lose against the game. But do you feel like in the current metagame, and perhaps in that game, do you have a positive impact overall?
I think there's a place for him in the meta, but it's just so hard now. Like, part of the reason that made him so good was because he scaled really well into the late game because the creeps would be fully healed with the Ancients, and now that no longer happens. And I feel like there's still, like, part of it with the early push, but Drow is just so much better at that, you know?
Oh, Drow's also a core.
Right, well, that's true. I guess what I should say is that I feel like you sort of try and do similar things in the context of a draft. And
There's a better hero for a similar kind of style that you want to play.
Exactly.
Okay.
Look at this guy. He knows what's up. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. It's an absolute pleasure casting for y'all. Again, Lyrical, Lumi, L&L. We're going to be signing off for right now. And thank you guys so much for watching. More China qualifiers soon to come.